Hello everyone, my name is Jesse and welcome to like a tutorial showcase thing I did. So recently I decided to custom paint my Cyborg Helios. So I kind of want to just like show it off and like kind of just teach you guys how to do it if you want to. So it's not actually that hard. It took me a couple hours, but most of the time was kind of just waiting for things to dry. So this is like it in ball form. As you can see, it's like super detailed, but it's not perfect. I mean, there are still some spots where paint rubbed off or where I just missed or messed up on, like some smudging and stuff. But I mean, for a custom paint, my second custom paint ever, it's actually not too shabby, I think. So while it's not perfect, it's definitely better than the original, just generic Pyrus Cyborg Helios, which I actually did a showcase on in my Helios Evolution review. I wish I would have waited on that video because after I filmed it, like 2 days later, I actually painted this. So it would have been cooler to review with all the other ones, but I mean, here we are. So I guess I get to make a separate video kind of showing it. So yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and pop it open so you guys can see it. Yeah, see, he doesn't, for some reason he doesn't like to open, and this isn't because of the paint or anything, it's just how it was, when I got it, it was like this. So I kind of have to like force it a little bit, which I absolutely hate. There we go. Aha. Alright, so here he is opened up, and I can do like a good spin for you guys to see it. And I will talk about it in detail as well, and like the paints I used and everything. Just so you guys kind of understand the process. Yeah, so this is him. He's pretty accurate. I did keep some green dots on him right here and on the other side just because I liked them that are not true to the show's accurate version, but everything else for the most part is, as far as I can tell. I'll kind of like talk you through what I did and how I did it, so that you can like maybe replicate this. And then again, I'll kind of show you the wings and stuff so you can see how they're painted. And just kind of give you as many angles as possible if you want to like copy what I did. Yeah. So the first thing I want to talk about is like what tools you need. So it's pretty cheap. So the first things on my list are a silver Sharpie. I use a silver Sharpie for all the silvering details. Be careful doing this. If you have silver paint, that might be better. I preferred the Sharpie simply because it wasn't as thick and it was easier to fix if I messed up. But the downside to it was that it kept rubbing off as I was painting and working on it. So I was like really scared to handle it. I came up with a solution to that, which I'll talk about once all of the paint stuff's been talked about. But I did figure out a way to like seal the Sharpie, and I'll talk about it. So the next thing for like these small details, I used this really thin black pen. You could probably use a Sharpie. That might actually be better because this pen didn't like to stick to the plastic, whereas Sharpie might a little bit better, but I mean regardless it rubbed off for me. And then the last thing I got is this, pretty much is essential. It's paint markers. So these are acrylic paint markers, and they're the fine tip. So if I open this up here and show you, this is how thin it looks. So I mean, imagine just like painting like on them with this. You gotta be careful because they'll sometimes like a lot more paint will come out than you expect, and it'll sort of flood whatever you're painting. And I like that happened to me on this wing, one of the wings. I think it was this one, but it kind of started to flood it a little bit, but it turned out just fine. For wings, I used this red that came in that pack. It turned out too orange, so I waited for it to dry and then went over it with red Sharpie, and that made this like cool lava-like. It's definitely a different color than the original plastic, but I think it looks cool because it looks almost shiny. And yeah, so I did that, and I mean that was just, you know, paint on there, dry, and then Sharpie over it. Yeah, Like I mentioned earlier, I was having problems with the silver. It would rub right off really fast, like if your hands are like sweaty from painting, or just in general, if you smudged it too much, it would come off. So what I did is I let this thing dry overnight, and then in the morning I went and got some like glossy clear coat I had and sprayed it on there. Now this was great because it sealed the marker and now it won't rub off. But because the spray paint, because that's what it was glossy, like clear coat spray paint, it caused marker to smudge. So when that happened, stuff started to like move. So like right here, you can kind of see it's like kind of discolored. That's because it moved the marker. And then same kind of down here, it moved it. So you kind of get stuff like that. But like the wings, they're not sealed because I didn't want to get in there and mess those up because those were hard to paint. But for the most part, he's completely painted. And then all I did was after it dried, I made sure that all the different components moved so that like the clear coat didn't stick it. And like for instance, this wing right here, right in that corner, kind of got stuck, and I had to like move it and all that. And sometimes when I'm like playing with him or like moving him, he'll like crinkle some just because he's not like the clear coat's kind of still drying or whatever, or was still drying. And it was like dry and was cracking. Yeah. But for the most part, at least, like, I don't know if I got all the clear coat all over it, because, I mean, obviously I didn't want to damage the paint too much. But for the most part, I got it where I needed it. So I can handle him a little bit better without, like, fear of smudging. Which I think is a lot of problems people have when they're, like, trying to custom Bakugan, is they end up, like, accidentally smudging them with the marker, or the Sharpie just comes off really easy. So I tried to, like, do what I could to prevent that. And yeah, it took me like maybe 2 hours, the initial paint, and then like a couple additional, like maybe additional 2 hours for like touch-ups and clear coat, and then just drying. I made sure to dry it overnight. That's one thing, is always be patient, because you don't want to like be like going too fast and all of a sudden like this isn't dry and you're trying to touch that and it smears or something. It's a nightmare. Yeah, but like I said, this isn't like true to the original version, like from the show. Like these green dots right here are never in the show, but I like the way they looked on the Pyrus version, so I kept them because they're right here as well. This is like normal, like what you see on a Pyrus Cyborg Helios, and then these are usually green, and that's not, so I painted that, and then I just like added that back in just because I like how cool it looks. And the bottom itself also looks really good. I just think that design's kind of neat. I wish this wouldn't have smeared, and I tried getting it off using some isopropyl alcohol, but for some reason it wouldn't come off. It was a lot easier just to leave it than risk like smearing the rest of this, so I kept it how it was. He returned into ball form relatively easy. You just lock him up, and then horn, and then he closes in. Sometimes you get stuck there. And yeah, my Cyborg Helios has a hard time trying to like open, but that's not because of the paint job. But yeah, I think he looks so cool in ball form. Like he looks so sick. Yeah, that's just so cool to me. I mean, he looks robotic, which is super neat. And I mean, again, all I used was reference pictures from Google, and just figured it out. But that's kind of it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, feel free to leave a like, drop a comment, and if you have any questions, I'll try my best to answer them as well. Peace out.